from Columbia in high definition. This is WIS News 10 Awareness.
Good morning and thank you so much for joining us for Awareness. I'm your host, Megan Norman. Leaders, mothers, wives, and sisters. Women sometimes have to wear many hats. Today on Awareness, we are having girl talk about many things that affect women. We've assembled a panel to give their insight on just about everything, from faith to health to careers to relationships. Joining us today are Robin Jackson, First Lady of Brooklyn Baptist Church, marketing and PR consultant Trey Taylor, and Dr. Michelle Rojas. Thank you, ladies, so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you. Thank you
for having us.
We're excited about the conversation.
Yes, just some regular old-fashioned girl talk.
And that's needed.
It is. It's very much needed because there are so many topics out there that women are facing. One of them, relationships.
Exactly.
We know that there are a couple of popular primetime shows out there, Scandal, Being Mary Jane, and it seems like the preface of some of those shows, infidelity. Maybe not a premise, but certainly a very major storyline. And we want to share a clip from Being Mary Jane with you.
5 minutes.
Leave.
5 minutes.
No.
5 minutes.
No.
Come on.
Don't touch me.
Let me just explain what I was trying to...
What are you going to say? Huh? What are you going to say, Andre? You bumped your head and forgot you were married? You forgot a wife and kids? You're married. Don't... Are you crazy?
No, I'm not.
No.
So she said, did you forget you're married? Clearly he didn't forget he was married. He just chose to make a decision. And it seems like, I don't want to call it an epidemic, but it's certainly an issue that's out there. What do you think the reason is? Why do men cheat?
Oh, well, I really don't know that we should be asking that, Megan, as much as we should be asking, why do we allow men to cheat? Because men can't cheat by themselves.
It's true.
It takes a woman for a man to cheat. So I think really the answer and the question really lies within us as a woman. Do we not want more for our lives? Do we not think we deserve more? Why would we want to even disrespect another woman's relationship? Because it's going to come back on us. I mean, the fact is that 51% of the American population is single. 51%. Just a few years ago, it was 47%. So there are more and more single people. And of course, the biggest percentage of those are women. And, you know, we hear so many things. Of course, there are women who say, and we had a seminar about this at Black Expo in Charleston last weekend, Relax It's Okay Not Being Mary Jane. And, you know, a lot of women say that it's a choice. They don't want any ties. They don't want any commitment. So they just cheat. And of course, the other thing that came out is a self-esteem issue. And it may not be a strong self-esteem issue. And you know, I'm sure we're going to hear somebody say, I'm fine. I don't have a problem. I got myself together. But it is something there within you that says that you can't wait for what is yours, that you have to disrespect, because it's disrespecting someone else's relationship for you to delve into that relationship. And here's the other thing. I'm not talking about 20-year-olds, because when we were teens and 20, we all made some bad decisions. I'll raise my hand. I'll be the first one to raise my hand. But when you get older and recognize karma, what goes around comes around, when you recognize right from wrong, as Ayanna says, when you know better, you should do better. And I think it's up to us to say no. Just say no.
Exactly. But you talk about disrespecting the other woman, but what about the man disrespecting both women or all women that are involved?
Again, we're allowing that to happen. And if we're talking about women, I thought this was talking about a woman show, you know, then I can't be responsible for what that man does. That's his thing. That's something he has to deal with. I have to be responsible for me. To thine own self be true.
And then again, I don't know whether we allow it or whether women allow that. I think it's something that happens, and again, we're looking at self-esteem. We're looking at things that happen in people's lives that draw them to that place, that they feel that they need something more. It can be in your personal relationship, it can be things you're dealing with your job, it can be whatever you're dealing with, your career or whatever. But again, I don't know whether women actually allow it so much, because I don't think any woman would actually tell you that we allow that. And again, it may happen, but at the same time, yes, you do have a certain responsibility, those people who do allow this to happen. And you have to, hey, when it happens, you have to know.
Well, you have to make a choice.
Yeah,
you have to make a decision, just like the man has made a choice. I mean, do you think
and
that
I think you
a
have to be
choice?
careful by saying, I don't know if we allow it. I think that we do have to take ownership of the choices that we make. Okay, and we have to say, yes, I did make that choice. So yes, we are allowing that to happen.
Whether
so
we want to
need
admit that we're
yeah,
allowing it or
yeah.
not.
right? It's happening,
have to be-
and
it is
we're a part of
We've got to
it.
let somebody in our lives.
Right.
But at the same
And then-
time, when we are saying that we may not be allowing it, we may be, in actuality, ourselves allowing it. But at the same time, you don't know a lot of times, you know. And then
That the
when
man is married?
Yeah. A lot of people don't.
Right.
You're
You're
right.
right.
They
You're
go-
right.
They
You're
go
right.
around
You're
saying
right.
that they, they may not even tell you that they're married.
You're
But you know
right.
what,
Yeah.
First Lady? I can go with that for a couple of weeks.
But what's done in the dark comes to light eventually.
After a while, if he doesn't call you any
Oh,
time
so
of day,
you all
if you
know
don't go
about
to
that.
his house,
And he won't
and
give
he's
you-
only coming to your house, at some point, there are
Yeah.
going to be some signs, and I think
Right,
we choose to
right.
ignore the signs.
Right.
Right.
You know?
I think that's a big part of it too. And do you think women are settling for it? They're just
Wow.
saying,
Well-
I can't do better, or I just choose not to do better?
Some people actually love being in that scenario. They think.
What do you think it
that's
gives
what-
them?
I don't know. It may make them feel empowered to know that.
Well, I guess you feel loved. You feel
Yeah,
you feel
absolutely.
appreciated for the moment.
You do.
Not that it's
You do.
a good for a long time, but
Right.
you do for that
And
moment.
I think, like you said, First Lady, I think it is a bit, even though a wrong empowerment, an empowerment to think I've got something over somebody else. I'm doing something for your man that you can't do. For
When
you.
really you're
Right,
being
right.
disrespected the
You
whole
are
time.
Disrespect.
Right. And here's
So-
the thing, he's going home
That's right.
to his wife. and with you, you don't have the kids, you don't have the laundry, you don't have the bills.
Right.
It's like utopia. It's like going on a cruise.
Unless
but
you
then
do.
you got to come back to
You gotta come
reality.
back.
Right.
You got to come back.
You know?
But then it can get complicated when then maybe you do get a child out of.
Oh, absolutely.
affair.
All things, so many things can happen. And again, I think we've all made some mistakes, obviously, and we've all had some bad judgment in several areas of our lives. But I just believe that at some point, you've got to want more for your
yourself.
life. And you've got to want more for yourself. And if you see your life going down a negative path and things continue to happen, you know, it's like the old saying. I was just telling my son's friends this the other day. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different
Right.
results.
Results.
You
Right.
see things are not going well in your life, and you've got to make some choices. You've got to make some choices, and we've got to be strong enough. And that's where I
make
think the
those choices.
self-esteem comes in, Megan, because you know, and I love the Lord, so I'm going to come at it from a spiritual standpoint. At some point, we've got to trust God for every point in our life.
It's true.
Everything in our life, and even if you don't believe, whatever you believe, if you believe in lollipops, you know what I'm saying? If you just have to get something in yourself to realize, I've got it in myself. I've got the strength, the will, the tenacity to make some changes in my life, and that I deserve it.
Right.
And you do.
That's a big part of it. Well, we are just getting started. I don't want to cut it off because we're going to come back with so much more, so stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Awareness. Let's dig right back into our Girl Talk. We had such a great start with the first half of our show. So we looked at some of the media that plays into relationships, for example, and kind of setting a level of acceptance and a standard for some women. What is the problem with that?
Don't do that.
Anyone can just pick it right
Okay,
up.
I can say there are so many shows out there. I mean, every day you turn on the TV, there's reality TV that is just, I think the young people are just, you know, loving it.
Right.
And I mean, from your teenagers to your young ladies, everybody's listening and watching reality TV.
And it's not just
so they-
entertaining
yeah.
anymore.
And they
so
see the
as they
ladies.
watch it, you know, they're picking up on all kinds of things. And it's sometimes, it's not very positive
At all.
about it at all.
We're fighting each
yeah,
other
yeah.
on national
Right.
TV. Again, we're cursing each other out.
Exactly.
And we are living these seemingly extravagant
Big lives.
lifestyles. And you know what, First Lady, it's not reality at all.
Not at all. It's,
You know,
it's happening.
That's the thing that I think that and I can't even say it's only young people. I just think people in general are really gravitated toward the sensationalism of those types of things that we see on television.
It's become a norm now.
It has become a norm, an unfortunate norm that we are then mimicking and emulating in our lives.
Well, how do we move on from that? Not just relationships, but from just bad influences in our lives. How do we make that conscious decision to move forward into something that's more positive?
Well, I think that it is up to those of us who know to help those who don't know. I really think we have to take more of a responsibility as women, as leaders, as those of us who have lived life and made some mistakes and are doing better in our lives to mentor. And mentoring someone doesn't necessarily mean mentoring a teenager. I could mentor you and you could mentor me, and you know, we could mentor each other. And just to say, you know, girl,
it's going to be all right.
It's going to be all right, and you can make some different choices. It's not the norm for you to be cursing people out and fighting, just fist fighting in public. You do deserve more for your life. You can have your own. You can or should look at someone for more than what the appearance is.
And we also realize that, you know, God created us to be who we are.
Absolutely.
And to love who we are.
Yes.
And when you love who you are, you won't let just anything happen. You won't let anything occur in your life. And if it does occur, you know how to move on because you have a higher being who's in charge.
We say that, and we are professional women who probably have decent families that raised us, but when you look at the masses of people that are out there, a lot of times they carry mess from their family lives. There's abuse, there's homicides, there's alcoholism. So where do they get that resource to pull themselves up and to feel that they deserve more? They've been physically abused a lot, sexually abused. The school system has some issues with, I shouldn't say, African-American men, children. And
That's why it's so important.
So where do they get those resources that we're asking them to reach for, when they've never been given that?
That's right. And sometimes
this
women
is where it
are afraid
becomes
to
very
even
difficult.
go and get these resources.
Oh, especially African
they don't know where to go.
Especially African Americans. We are very fearful and hesitant to reach out as far as mental health is concerned. But it is so real and so available.
It is.
And there are several choices, you know, in our state, in our country, that are even free choices. I was just talking to a young lady over at Palmetto Health, Tiffany Sullivan, and she was sharing in a board meeting that I'm on with her that Palmetto Health offers free mental health screenings. And depending on your income level, you can continue to get that assistance that you need.
Now, I have to interject here as a medical physician. I mean, I have to deal with people and refer them to these services. A lot of times they do not get the counseling that we would like them to have. They give them medicines, take this medicine, take this medicine, and they move them on, and they receive no counseling, no, you know, the needed resources that they need to move forward, because it's very difficult. They've closed down a lot of the mental health services here in Columbia, South Carolina, for the mentally impaired and for people who need help. And so where do they go?
It is unfortunate.
The churches, I think that we have fallen short in what we provide to a lot of our women. We don't have these discussions. I mean, sex is taboo. HIV is taboo. Homosexuality is taboo. Relationships is taboo. And we do not talk about these kinds of things. So where else do we go
and
as
when
women?
we talk about these things in our churches, it's important that we are real.
Exactly. Yes, that's exactly
no sugarcoating.
right.
And that we're
exactly
inclusive.
Right.
And that we're inclusive. That just because it's going on at my church doesn't mean that you who go to the church on the other side of town can't come. Because it should be a fellowship.
It should be a fellowship.
And I think each one should teach one. I think that should be more than just a saying.
But then
that's why I'm so happy at the Brooklyn Baptist Church. God has blessed us to have a sisterhood ministry. Our ministry was developed in 2008, and this was a ministry where women would come together and embrace each other. In fact, our slogan is "Women, Sisters Embracing Sisters." And in doing that, again, we have to be real.
Right.
And sisters aren't going to come if we don't be real.
That's right.
And so we're having classes, having workshops, you know, and not only just helping ourselves, because when you help, but also helping others in the community as well. Because when you help others, you are helping yourself as well. And so we all have something to learn. We all have to grow. None of us have reached where we want to be.
Right.
You know,
That's exactly right.
So there's a continuous learning in all of us.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
And then how do you help each other when when we fight each other as far as our color of our skin, our hair textures, okay? If you walk into a church and you don't look a particular way, people don't necessarily embrace you. You're dismissed because you come in there, I mean, where God loves all of us.
Well, and Trey, because you brought up the issue of mentoring each other, but how is that possible when, like you said, Dr. Rojas, you're fighting each other, or you're jealous of the other person and what you think the person has or may not have?
Because you know why, Megan? Because everyone is not that way. Because there are some people that way, yes, but there are some people that are not that way. And those of us who are not only do we have to step out and do it, we can't be fearful of what we're going to get back. Because sometimes we're going to be met with resistance for sure. And there's going to be that sister who ain't going to, she ain't going to welcome us open arms.
Doesn't want it.
That she don't have a problem because I'm light skinned and you dark skinned, or my hair straight and your hair's curly or whatever, which is crazy. But we still have to do it.
Exactly.
We still have to do it. It's our responsibility, girl. I just believe it.
Well, we have, I hate to cut us off again, but we got to take another quick commercial break, but we'll be right back. Stay with us.
This is good.
Welcome back. We still have so much more to discuss. We probably won't be able to fit it all in our show this time around. We'll have to have a part 2 at some point soon. Well, we all probably saw Lupita win an Oscar for her role in 12 Years a Slave. Here's what she had to say earlier, a little bit about body image and self-image.
You can't rely on how you look to sustain you. What actually sustains us, what is fundamentally beautiful, is compassion for yourself and for those around you. That kind of beauty, excuse me, that kind of beauty inflames the heart and enchants the soul.
You can't rely on your looks to sustain you.
Powerful.
How powerful is that? Because sometimes don't we as women get so caught up in the physical appearance that we don't look at the substance underneath.
Right.
Why do we do that continuously?
Well, it's all about how we want to appear to others, and how society also plays a big part in that as well. But the most important thing is how you feel inside.
Yes, absolutely.
How do you feel inside? That's your real worth. Your real worth. It's deeper, as I said. Beauty is on the outside, but you know, inside is really the heart of it all.
Right.
And
And
it's so important that we just feel good about ourselves. You don't have to worry about it. You know, we can wear makeup, we can put on clothes and have wonderful hairdos and all of this, but this is not the real person. This is not the real you.
But again,
but the media plays,
I was just about to say,
puts such an emphasis on beauty and how
external
we
beauty.
External, and that's
Exactly.
the only what they portray.
Yeah.
That's what we see. That's what we're taught to emulate.
You're right.
And so that's why we do that. They do not talk about the substance.
Right.
You don't have ugly women as newscasters. Okay. I mean, you just
and
you
ugly
just
magazines.
you don't.
Exactly.
We just say that. We just don't. We just don't. And those, you know, you have even young teens now and mothers. Breast implants because they want their daughters to look a certain way, and they know this helps them to move up in society.
Well, and they think that'll help them become successful,
That's
or what they
exactly
define
right.
as success.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, yeah, and I agree with Dr. Rojas. It's definitely it is media driven, and it happens from a very young child. And I think too, as women, as mothers, we even do that a little bit with our girls.
Yes, we do.
You know, we give them some subtle messages.
Yes, we do.
And then, of course, when they go to school, they see other children, and then children can be very cruel.
Yes.
You know, so, but again, I think, you know, as you grow and mature, you've got to recognize that it is so much more what's inside than on the outside, because all of this is going to fade.
Exactly.
We're all going to change. We're changing daily. So not only within ourselves, but who we choose as a mate, we've got to be more conscientious about substance. Now, what I do hope that is going to happen, Megan, especially with Lupita and some other people that we see that are really highlighted in the media, I hope that the tide is changing. I hope that the message is being heard and seen and felt even more, because it does seem like some sun is peeking through the clouds.
Right.
You know, it seems like there are some good images and some good things that are being said that are coming to the forefront. So I'm hoping, I'm really trusting and believing God that we are hearing some things and that we will speak more of that. You know, to each other.
Well, it starts with that conversation in the churches and with each other.
Most definitely. Most definitely. And in the schools.
And I think
it's true.
And parents to their children, the positive messages that we feed into our children.
But you got to feel good to say
exactly.
Good.
You got to say that.
You
can't relate it if you don't
if you don't have it.
That's
if you don't have it.
Can't relate it.
You know, and I know for myself, I had to go, you know, I grew up fat with glasses and braces. And Lord, I just, you know, and my mother was tall and thin with long straight hair. So I didn't see something that looked like me back. But God bless her, she would always say such great things to me. And it took me a long time before I even believed it myself. You know, and I remember really a shift in me. I mean, and I'll be honest enough to say it probably really didn't really start shifting until maybe 10 or 12 years ago that I really got
into your own and really
really
embraced.
stepped into my own uniqueness, craziness, you know, eclecticness. You know, that this is who I am and I can be a better me. You know, I can be a better me, whatever that is. And you can be the best you can be. But I cannot be you.
But now, what kind of journey did it take for you to get there?
Oh my God,
Exactly.
Dr. Rojas, it was a long, rough road.
Well, and I think that's important to really emphasize that it was a journey. That, you know, it does take time. It's a process, and it takes guidance. Because you don't really get there by yourself. But like you said, you have to be an individual. You can't want what someone else has, whether it is a relationship or whether it is a job. Because as you said, First Lady, what's meant for you is meant for you. So,
and you got to know that it's going to come too.
Exactly.
You got to know that it's going to be okay. That you will see that light at the end of the tunnel. You've got to know that you will make it there. And like you said, Megan, it's a journey. It's a journey, but it's a journey that you can enjoy. You know, the word says, be thankful in all things. And that doesn't mean be thankful for this, but be thankful in it. Be thankful knowing that out of this journey, I'm going to learn some lessons. I'm going to be wiser, stronger, better than before. And through it, I'm getting better and better and better. And it's going to make me live a better life.
You know, but through your conversation here today, you talk a lot about God, okay? And so it seems like He has been, or the Bible has been a plumb line for you, and you have used that, I think, in your journey. We are losing a lot in our culture, and I think it is important, okay, that we realize the significance and importance of that need in our folks and us and our children.
That's a very
and lead them in that way.
That's a very good point, Dr. Rojas. And I hate to cut us off, but I have to. But this has been such a fruitful dialogue and so many great topics that have come out of it. And I hope we can continue this conversation in the future. Thank you all so much for being with us.
Thank you for allowing us to come together and have this great conversation. We appreciate it.
We'll be right back. We'd like to thank all of our guests this morning. Until next time, I'm Megan Norman. This is Awareness.